Well, good afternoon, folks, and welcome back. Cumberland Outdoorsman here with you on a rather hot and steamy mid-June afternoon. I think the temperature got up to like 95 degrees today, and the humidity was at least 90%. It had to be. So it definitely feels like summertime here in Tennessee already, even though it's still officially spring, late spring that is. So, you know, as the evening hours roll on, I thought I'd come out here and do a little bit of shooting with some 22 rimfire pistols that I have, and I thought I'd bring you along with me because this is going to be a great video. I think a lot of you will really be interested in this if you're into 22s, and especially 22 pistols. Both of the models that I have here on the table are very familiar to many shooters and hunters out there, and anyone that collects guns or knows anything about them, they're instantly recognized. So they're two classic guns, and I'm going to be comparing them in terms of accuracy and shootability and how they feel in your hand, and you know, the takedown and maintenance of these pistols, and just kind of doing a comparison between the two. So, you know, stick with me throughout the video. I think you'll find this really interesting. By the way, my AC unit is running in the background, and understandably so, because we couldn't stand it in the house at night or during the day. If that unit wasn't running, it'd be just miserable inside the house if I didn't have that. So please excuse the background noise when that AC unit kicks on. Anyway, the first model that I have here is still a fairly new introduction by Ruger. This is the Ruger Mark IV, and this particular model here is the competition model. It's stainless steel, has a 7-inch barrel, fairly long, and it's designed really for competition shooting at targets. And it's so accurate that realistically you could take it out and go small game hunting with it. I mean, you could make shots at 30, 40 yards at squirrels and rabbits, things like that, you know, using 22 long rifle cartridge. This particular one also has this thumb rest on the side of this pistol grip, so it's designed, you know, to give you a good steady hold when you're aiming at fine small targets at a distance. It comes factory with fully adjustable sights, as you can see here. These are target sights, by the way, mostly used for targets such as steel silhouettes and things like that. Also, the design of the magazine release has been upgraded somewhat. The Mark III that I own, when you release the magazine, it pops out to about right there, and then you have to remove it by hand. You know, there's some resistance there. But the Mark IV series, they pop right out in your hand just like that. So if you're into competition shooting, you can dump those magazines really quick. You know, they come right out. You don't even have to put your hand on them, and then feed another one in there right away for quick follow-up shooting. So that's a real plus for the Mark IV. The safety is right here on the side, right where it should be, and this one here actually came as an ambidextrous safety, but I removed the safety on this side because it interfered with my trigger finger over here, and also it kind of rubbed against the inside of my palm right there. So they came with a bushing. The pistol actually came with a bushing so that you could, as the owner, customize it whichever side you wanted the safety to be on. So I removed it, and I've got it on this side. And you know, it works pretty well. Just expended a dummy round there. But anyway, the bolt release is right here on this side, right under my thumb there. You just push it down and it releases the bolt and loads the chamber. There's nothing in here right now. The gun's totally empty. But I always put a dummy round in when I put the gun up, and then release the pressure on the firing pin so that the firing pin blow will be cushioned against an empty round, you know, an empty cartridge. But the one main thing that I really like about the Ruger Mark IV is the way it takes down, you know, and I'll be showing you that here shortly. If you own a Mark I, Mark II, or Mark III, you probably well know, if you ever attempted to take it apart, that it's more than inconvenient. It can be quite a chore, actually, you know. And if you don't know what you're doing, a lot of times those guns end up at a gunsmith shop for the gunsmith to reassemble them. It can be done, you know, if you have a little bit of practice and you get on the internet and see how they're taken apart and then properly put back together, you should be able to accomplish it if you have any mechanical dexterity at all, you know. I can do it, so I feel like most other people probably should be able to as well. What else can I say about this gun? Well, it comes from the factory, drilled and tapped for either a scope mount or for a red dot, anything like that, you know, that you want to add if you don't want to use the open sights. For this demonstration today and this competition, I'll be using open sights against the other pistol that I have here. The trigger is pretty good. It's not excellent, but it's pretty good, you know. It breaks at around 3.5 pounds, somewhere between 3.5 and 4 pounds, and that's somewhat acceptable. I would rather it was a little bit lighter, because I do use these pistols for small game hunting, as I mentioned, and sometimes when you've got a squirrel up there against a tree limb and you're trying to zero in on either on the vitals or on the head, and you're struggling with the trigger to try to keep the sights on the game, you know, so you can make a good, clean, ethical shot, it's somewhat of a hindrance. So a finely tuned trigger will really help your shooting. And if you don't believe me, try one out that's been tuned correctly, and you'll see a significant difference between one that's easy to shoot and one that you have to struggle with. I don't struggle with this one nearly as much, but it could be improved. And there are kits out there that you can install to improve the trigger pull on the Ruger Mark IV series pistols. The next gun I've got is truly an American classic. Been around for a long time, probably one of the finest 22 rimfire pistols ever made, and that's the Smith Wesson Model 41. Here you can see the Smith Wesson logo on the side. These guns shoot so smoothly and the trigger is so fine, it's almost beyond belief, you know. They're such a pleasure to shoot. My grandson comes out and he shoots this one, and he always likes to pick this one up because it's just so easy to shoot and so deadly accurate. Smith & Wesson started designing the Model 41 in 1947, and they didn't release the first model until 1957, so they developed the design for 10 years before it was available to the public, and they've been in production ever since. You can still buy a brand new Smith & Wesson Model 41, but let me warn you, they're somewhat expensive. You know, you're looking at around $1,600 for a brand new one now. This particular one here is a 1989 model, and it's just a really good shooter. I love the way the grips are designed. It has checkering here at the bottom, and the way the finger groove lines your finger up with the trigger. Also, the thumb rest is exactly where it needs to be. The gun is just designed to be shot well. You know, it's just a great little pistol. The magazine release is right there where it should be, and these release quite easily as well, just like the Ruger Mark IV. And I like it because they're kind of tucked up in there out of the way. There's nothing protruding here, so it's a nice flush design. And the attention to detail, I mean, if you look at this gun really close, you know, the way the bluing is, the metal was polished and blued and everything fits together so well. The rear sight's fully adjustable there. You know, it has adjustments for windage and elevation. There are target sights. There's the muzzle end. This one has a 7-inch barrel. I think it's 7 3/8, and it weighs in at around 41 ounces or so. And the trigger pull on this one is a very crisp 2 1/4 pounds. So, you know, there's no effort at all really. You just think about pulling the trigger and the gun fires. The safety is right here on the side, and it actually locks the slide in place as well. Let me take the dummy round out of this one. This is what I'm talking about, folks. These are my dummy rounds. And as you can see on the rear, it's an empty cartridge case that I load into the chamber to release the tension on the firing pin. But the slide release is right here, right where it should be. And the safety is a little bit difficult on these, not too bad. It's right here on the side. You know, you can engage it with your thumb, and then when you get ready to fire, I don't know if you heard that click or not, it's very slight. So, you know, practice with that a little bit. Like I said, it locks the slide in place, and the gun will not go off. You know, it's a very good, positive, functioning safety. Once again, not much movement right there. It's just a marvel in design, really. Highly polished, very well made. You know. Now, some of these models came out with a cocking indicator, which tells you that the chamber is loaded and that the gun is cocked and ready to fire. And there was a little pin that came out of the rear. This one does not have that. This particular model does not come with a drilled and tapped barrel here for scope mounting. But eventually I'll be able to find one, and what's good about the Model 41 is you can interchange them. They also make a shorter barrel version that's 5 inches long. So if you don't like one that's quite as long as this one, you can shoot a shorter barrel model, you know, Model 41. So without further ado, let me go ahead and do some shooting with these pistols before the sun goes down, and let's do some head-to-head competition, comparison. See which one actually shoots the best. First up, I'm going to put some of these stick-on targets on this piece of cardboard I've got, and I'm going to sit it out here at 20 yards and be shooting off of a rest here so that I can eliminate as much air from me as I possibly can. And we'll be comparing 5-shot groups between the two pistols. I really like these stick-on targets because they're just so convenient. You know, you just peel them off and you can just stick them on the cardboard like that, and then you can set them up and get ready to shoot. So I'm going to go ahead and put this target on. Alright, that's set up at 20 yards there, and I think the first one I'm going to try is the Ruger. We'll give it a try. So I'm going to load up this 10-shot magazine with some CCI standard velocity. These have always worked quite well for me in the past, and they're fairly mild load. You know, they're quite accurate actually in most guns. So we'll be using the same ammunition in both pistols. And the magazines are really easy to load. You just pull down on this little button right here. They'll hold 10 rounds, but we're just going to load 5 for today for this target competition. And see how well this pistol shoots. Alright, before I start shooting, I'm going to go ahead and put my ear protection in. if you're going to shoot much, you really need to wear some ear protection and eye protection as well. So I'm going to go ahead and zoom in on this target. Okay, here we go. Okay, I'm going to run down range and put another target up. Okay, now we're going to be trying the Model 41. These are also 10-shot magazines. They're slightly shorter than the Ruger version, but they also have this button on the side that you can pull down as you're loading your cartridges. Relatively easy to load. And what I like about both of these pistols, you can actually do something called slingshotting. You open the slide, just let it go, and it's already loaded, ready to go. Put the safety on here. Let me zoom in on that one as well. I'll be shooting at the target on the right. 5 shots. Here we go. Okay, and just like with the Ruger, on the last shot, the action stays open, which indicates that the gun's empty. So let me go grab these targets and we'll do some comparison here. Now remember folks, this is using open sights. Even though I'm using a rest, there is still some human error involved. This is the group that I shot with the Ruger Mark IV. I'm not sure what happened there. That could have been because of a cold barrel. I'm not really sure. But all the rest of them grouped right here together within an inch or so at 20 yards using open sights. And then the Smith Wesson 41, you could see how they all clustered right in there, just a little bit high, but a little bit left of the bullseye. But you can tell that that's a superbly accurate pistol as well. So there's your comparison. And what I probably should do is shoot another 5-shot group each so that we can eliminate any error at all. So let me go ahead and do that now. Okay, because I use my guns, handguns, rifles, and shotguns for hunting, because this is an outdoor channel and I'm an outdoorsman, a hunter, I'm going to try some of these CCI subsonic long rifle hollow points. Okay, so these are not high velocity, they're actually a standard velocity, the same velocity as the standard loading. As you can see here, these are hollow points. So I'm really curious to see how well these will group in both my pistols. I've never tried these before, so this is the first time. But I've used them in rifles on small game, and they work very well. I mean, they really do a number on them, because that big hollow point right there definitely opens up, even though they're only traveling, you know, just slightly above 1,000 feet per second. Now, they're not going to be going that fast out of these pistols because you have a shorter barrel to work with. But still, I would say any small game that's hit by that right there, even out of a pistol, would rather easily succumb to that. So just like before, I'm going to go ahead and try my Ruger first, see how well it likes these loads. And you just have to try different types of ammunition for your gun, as I'll illustrate here in a little while. I've got some Federal that I'll be comparing, and we'll see just how well that does in these pistols. So there's 5 rounds there for the Ruger. So let me go ahead and start on this. Now the target dots I've got up, they're a little bit smaller than the first ones, but I should still be able to connect with those. So I'm going to go ahead and zoom in on that, if I can here. Try to get that centered up for you. Alright, and I'm going to be shooting the bottom target on the left. I'm doing the best I can to hold these guns as still as possible using my sandbag rests here, so bear with me on that. Alright, here we go. This is the Ruger Mark IV. We're not shooting just for the bullseye, we're just shooting for group size here. Looks like my shots are falling a little bit to the right, but that can be corrected by adjusting these open sights very easily. Okay, I'm going to try the Model 41 with those rounds. I've never tried these before in that pistol. I like the way these bullets are designed. They have a nice groove in the middle of them to aid in pressure and also lube in the barrel. There's 5 shots or 5 rounds. Go ahead and load them up. Gun's still open. Let me go ahead and zoom in on this. Okay, here we go. I'm aiming at the bottom target on the right. All right, here we go. Go check them out. All right, once again, the Ruger Mark IV grouped a little bit to the right, but that's a pretty tight little group right there at 20 yards with open sights, folks. That's a headshot on a squirrel every time. And this is the Model 41, about the same size group. Some of the bullets, grouped a little bit tighter. You can see these three here are one little cluster. One hit a little bit low, and like I say, that's most likely shooter error, But I'm glad to see that, because I really do intend on using these rounds here for small game, and that's really what they're designed for. It says here, small game. So, if you're going to go hunting with your pistols, this is the kind of testing that you need to do to see how accurately your guns are going to shoot using the loads that you intend to use. All right, let me talk a little bit about scopes. Now, if you're going to install a pistol scope, make sure you get a pretty good quality one. This is a Redfield 2.5 power. It's a little bit on the hefty side. This is an older model, but it's really, really good quality. The optics are crystal clear, and the crosshair is very fine. So, with either one of these two, if they had a scope mounted on it, I'm sure that these groups would shrink considerably, because, you're using something that gives you a much finer sighting system, and target acquisition than you are with using open sights. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is mount the scope on my Ruger, since it's drilled and tapped for scope mounts, and we'll see what kind of groups that it's capable of at 25 yards. I can go ahead and stretch it out a little bit, because I know that that pistol will shoot more accurately than I can. Any advantage that the Model 41 here has over the Ruger, I would probably attribute to the better quality trigger. So I'm going to go ahead and set up a target, and we'll try the Ruger Mark IV with the scope. Okay, I'm going to be shooting two 10-shot groups. The first one, I'm going to be using this CCI standard velocity long rifle. This is rated at 1,070 feet per second, but that's misleading, because that's out of a 24-inch rifle barrel. It's not going to be near as fast out of a pistol barrel. And then I'm going to be trying this Federal Auto Match. I got some of this at Walmart the other day, and you get 325 rounds here. I think I paid like $17 for that box, but anyway, we're going to try them out. So let me zoom in on this target here, and I'll go ahead and get started. and see what the gun can do. Okay, I'm going to be shooting the standard velocity at the top target first. All right, that's 10 rounds there. Okay, next we're going to be using the Federal Auto Match. Bottom target. Shooting to the left, or to the right a little bit. Well, folks, from that little test you can see that the CCI standard velocity came out way ahead. There was one shot right there in the bullseye, and all the rest of them clustered into one ragged hole there at 25 yards using that pistol. The Federal Auto Match, it shot a little bit to the right just like the CCI did, but the holes are more spread out. I mean, that's not bad still for a pistol, but this is much better, and that is hunting grade accuracy. I mean, you can squirrel hunt with that and hit a squirrel in the head every time if you want to, you know, if you're going to go squirrel hunting with it or any other kind of small game. You want to keep all your shots in the vital area to make clean harvest, clean kills. I'm going to be doing some testing with this also, with this pistol, using some hollow point ammunition, because that's probably what I would be more apt to use, you know, if I'm going on a small game hunt using that pistol. So as you can see, even pistols, just like rifles, have their preference of ammunition. And by doing this type of testing, you know which ammunition that your gun prefers. So in this case, standard velocity CCI is the best out of this test. Well, folks, I think you found it just as interesting as I did to see just how accurate these 22 pistols can be when they have a good quality scope mounted on top of them, just like that Ruger Mark IV did just a minute ago. I went ahead and took it back off because I'm going to be shooting open sights again at 25 yards here at some steel targets that I've got. I've got 2 squirrels, a rabbit, and then a swinging steel target. And I'm going to be shooting 2 shots at each target with both models. So let's go ahead and get started on that. I'm going to zoom in on that for you. There you can see I've got 2 squirrels on top, 1 rabbit, and then the swinging target on the right. I'm going to go ahead and start with the Ruger first. And I'm just going to be using the standard velocity target loads here. All right. Here we go. I'm going to shoot at that swinging target first. I'm going to hold just a little bit to the left because I know this gun's shooting to the right. Oh, that was a miss. Okay, now I'm going to shoot at the squirrel next to it. Now for the bunny. Okay, since I knocked those squirrels down, I'm going to go ahead and try for that swinging target again since I missed it. All right. Okay, now I've got the Smith Wesson Model 41, and I'll be shooting the targets in the same sequence. First at the swinging target. That was a hit. Another hit. Now for the squirrel. I'm going to be aiming just behind the shoulder on this one. Okay, same thing with the other squirrel. Now for the rabbit, I'm going to try for the head. Take another shot at that. I'm hitting just a little bit to the right. I'm not sure. Okay, now for the swing target again. Oh, that was a miss. I was holding a little bit too low. I thought I was hitting high, so I held a little bit low and I missed it. All right. Okay, now for the disassembly of these pistols, so that you can go ahead and maintain them and clean the barrel and everything. This is where the Ruger Mark IV really shines, folks. And if you own one of these, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So let's make sure, first of all, the gun's unloaded, nothing in the chamber. You can leave the magazine in if you'd like. The way you take these apart is you put the gun on safe. The barrel's already empty, as we know, but still you have to put the gun on safe. And then there's a button right here at the rear. You just depress that button flip the gun up, and that's it. Now you can go ahead and clean the barrel and the whole breech end of this action right here. You can clean the bolt, and you can clean the inside of the action. You can brush it out, whatever you need to do. And to reassemble it, all you have to do, slide the bolt back in place. Make sure that this spring is on the top, okay? You got to align the hinge right here, just like that. And the gun's back together. And what I like about this model, even with the scope mounted, you can disassemble it the same way. Now, for the Smith Wesson Model 41, this is a much older design, but yet it's still very convenient. You know, when they designed this pistol, they really put a lot of thought into it. First of all, we want to make sure there's nothing in the magazine, nothing in the chamber, it's empty. Okay, you go ahead and open it up, and then all you have to do is pull down on this trigger guard, and the barrel lifts right off, just like that. Now you can go ahead and clean the barrel, clean all this up in here, and to take the slide off, you can further disassemble it without any tools. You just pull it back and lift it up a little bit and ease it forward. Now you've got the slide here, the spring with the spring guide, this plunger here that goes inside. You can clean the bolt face right here, clean all that up. You can clean inside the gun here, get all this powder fouling out and everything. You can remove the magazine now if you want to, doesn't really matter. 22 ammunition is inherently dirty, so you know you need to maintain these guns quite regularly. And to reassemble it, you've got a hole right here at the bottom of this slide. You want to put the spring end, the open end, into that hole right there, okay? And then right here on this receiver there's a little hole. That's where the magazine, or excuse me, that's where this spring guide aligns. You put it right into that little hole just like that. Just hold it with your thumb and your finger, hold it with your hand just like that. Bring it back, line it back up with the groove back here in the receiver. Put the barrel back on, close it up, and the gun's ready to go again. So that, you know, that's also a great design, just wonderful. No tools required, no screwdrivers, no pliers, nothing. You can just do it all by hand. And you can fully maintain these pistols. Both absolutely wonderful designs. Okay folks, now we're going to have a little fun with these rimfire pistols. I brought out some CCI mini mag hollow points. These are high velocity hollow points. I'm going to go ahead and load up a few of these here. I'll shoot the Ruger first. Got some water filled cans down there, and I'm not going to shoot these offhand. I'm just going to go ahead and use the rest because that's what I'd be using anyway if I was out hunting. So go ahead and get these loaded up. Guns open, empty magazine ejected. Loaded magazine ready to go. So here we go folks. Got 3 cans there at 25 and then 3 at 30. I'm going to shoot the ones at 25 first and see how well these mini mags will do in this Ruger. Alright, I'm going to try that little can first. Okay, now the one on the far right. on top of the log. There's a miss. Okay, now the 3 on the left, going from the furthest one on the left. Well, let me try those with the Smith & Wesson. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and finish the rest of them with the Smith & Wesson because I know it's sighted in right for that range. So let me go ahead and zero in on that. Alright, these hollow points tend to be a little explosive, so I actually may knock some of the cans over without hitting the ones next to them. I'll go for that little one first, the one right next to that RC can. Yep, knock that RC can off of there. Shoot that swinging target while I'm at it here. Still got a few rounds left. Oh, that was the last one. Nice to finish on a good hit like that. That's using the Model 41. Well folks, it's getting just a little bit late in the evening, so I thought I'd go ahead and wrap up this video. But before I do so, let me thank you for coming along. I really appreciate you watching, and hopefully I was able to provide some entertainment along with the information I was trying to relay to you regarding these 2 rimfire pistols that I featured. If you're still undecided on which one to choose for yourself, then I would probably suggest you go out and test fire each one to make the decision. You know, it's kind of like buying a car. You're not going to make the commitment and pay a lot of money before you test drive a car. So, you know, for myself, I tend to favor the Smith & Wesson because I'm kind of a traditional guy and I just like the looks of blued steel and wood. And this gun balances a little bit better in my hand than the Ruger does, but I immensely love shooting that Ruger as well, but I just prefer this one a little bit more over the other one. That's not taking anything away from Ruger, by the way. They're absolutely fantastic pistols. One thing I should mention, there's another model that's available that looks much like this competition model, and that's the Hunter model. It's probably more popular, and it comes with fiber optic sights, front and rear sights, whereas the competition model has the target style sights. But, they're great pistols. Nothing wrong with them. So anyway, you know, like I say, I hope that the information that I provided to you will help steer you in the right direction and to make the decision. And whichever one you prefer, if you want to go ahead and leave a comment, you're invited to do so. Whether you own one or you own both, I'm sure you have your opinion on which one that you prefer. So, feel quite free to leave a comment. I'd be interested to hear from fellow shooters which one they prefer. But, both of them are absolutely great shooting guns. Now, that being said, let me also say that there is a price difference between the two. The Ruger itself, they'll bring between $400 to $800 or so, depending on which model that you get. They do make a blued steel version in their standard models. So, if you prefer to shoot one of those, just like the looks of it, then I would probably suggest you do that. The Smith Wesson Model 41 is still available. They're still being produced, brand new, and they're pretty high, folks. They're on up there around $1,600 or so, depending on where you buy them and who you buy them from. You can still get used models for right around $1,000 or so if they're in good condition. They make a shorter barrel version, just like I mentioned earlier, so sometimes there's a price difference between the longer barrel and the shorter barrel, but either way, you pretty much get what you pay for with these pistols, because the Smith & Wesson's been around a long time. It's an extremely good design. There's nothing wrong with that design. It's so finely crafted and so well developed. There's just not much more that you can do to improve them. So with those thoughts, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this video and wish you well. But remember, if you like to go hunting, fishing, shooting, camping, hiking, whatever it may be, I hope you enjoy it as much as I do. And until next time, remember, hit that like button, smash that bell icon, and subscribe. That way you'll know when more videos like this will be coming your way. So until next time, my friends, y'all take care and shoot safely and enjoy the great outdoors. I'll see you.